Carl, you're making your first defence of your IBF title against Yusuf Mack. He operates mainly at light heavyweight. Do you know much about him, and are you concerned about the size of him?
I don't know a great deal about him, and I'm certainly not concerned about the size of him now. I mean, he's got to come down to super middleweight, which tends to be a disadvantage. But I'm not taking that for granted, because he may be fitter and stronger and better at the lighter weight. So, I'm not looking too much into the weight thing.
Coming off the back of the Andre Ward fight, you were fighting Lucien Boutet for his title at the time. There wasn't a great deal of pressure on you because people maybe thought that Boutet was going to beat you, but you went in there and you absolutely destroyed him. Coming into this fight, there's probably a bit more pressure on you, is there, because everyone's expecting you to beat Mack?
Listen, I boxed Jean Pascal for the world title in 2008 in my backyard in Nottingham. He was an unbeaten fighter, and that was one hell of a fight for 12 rounds. And there's a lot of pressure on me to win that fight because, if I didn't, I wasn't going to establish myself as a world champion. The first defence was against Jermaine Taylor in America as champion. How much pressure do you think was on that fight? And then I entered into a tournament called the Super 6 World Boxing Classic. I boxed Andre Durrell at home as champion, pressure, Mikel Kessler in his backyard, then Arthur Abraham, then Johnson, then, Andre Ward. So pressure for me, it's a silly word. I'm just not concerned at all about any pressure, whether the fact that I'm champion or challenger. I turn up and I do what I need to do to win the fight.
You've had that wonderful spin of fights 4 years now. You've been fighting not just the top guys, the elite guys, the very best guys in the division. Mack is a world-class operator. He's been in there against Tavoris Cloud. He's been there with Glenn Johnson, but he's not probably at the top of the tree like the other guys you've been fighting. Is it hard to get motivated for a fight like this, or are you always motivated?
I don't think about the opponent when I'm training. I just think about getting myself into super fit condition and in the correct shape to do 12 rounds. So, the mindset's the same. It'll be different on the night when I'm putting my shots together and doing what I need to do to win. But as far as the training camp's concerned, as far as the build-up to the fight's concerned, nothing's changed.
We've seen today, and we've seen throughout your career, you're in tremendous shape. You're always in shape when you're not even in a fight camp. So how much has that been important to your career, and how important has it been to the longevity and the success of your career?
I think it's been important to the longevity of my career. I mean, the success was always going to be there because, I'm a good fighter, I'm fit and strong, and I mean business when I box, and I prepare meticulously. But I think living clean between fights and not ballooning up in weight and not drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes, I think, and eating wrong foods, I think it plays a big part in your overall performance on the night. Not just for the 10 or 12 weeks that you train for the fight for, but in between, if you're doing bad things to your body remembers, so it knocks you back. I mean, I'm 35 years old and I'm still fit and strong and fresh and still doing the runs and the training and the pull-ups and all the sparring and the hard work that I do. I can still do it quite comfortably. So I think that is a lot to do with the way I live in between fights. So it helps, it really does, to look after your body between fights.
You've been training for a few years now up in Sheffield with the GB Amateur Boxing Squad. Obviously they've been learning a whole lot from you. Have you learned anything training with them?
I think you're always learning. I've done a lot of sparring with the kids coming through, and there's fighters who are coming through now that have got a few new little tricks, and they try different things out, and they see stuff on the television, and they're working on things, and they're a little bit more tricky and a bit dangerous, some of these amateurs, because they try, like I said, they try different things out, and they catch you off guard with a few sneaky shots. And a lot of the time, if they're still learning, they're quite novice, they do things wrong. And if fighters do things wrong, they catch you off guard. They might throw an uppercut when you won't expect them to, or they might throw a hook off a jab, and you think, where's that come from? So it keeps you aware, keeps you sharp, but it's no major advantage, but it all helps.
Did you see the Lucien Boutet fight the other night, and how do you think he performed? And do you think there's a case for saying that your fight perhaps took a little bit out of him?
Potentially my fight took a lot out of him, and it wasn't a spectacular performance. All I will say is he won, he did what he needed to do, and to take a positive from it for him, he finished very strong. I think round 11 and round 12, especially round 12, it was very impressive. For about 30 seconds towards the end of that round, he was very, very impressive, picking his shots. He looked comfortable, he was smiling, and he looked like he was enjoying himself. So, that was a great finish for him. But no, overall the performance was sloppy. He didn't seem to get out of second gear. and he didn't at times look like he wanted to be in there, which isn't a great sign. But you've got to think about it. He came off the back of a great, defeat to me. He got beat up quite bad. He took a lot of punishment in that fight, and he would have been having his own demons and his own doubts during the course of that contest. He wouldn't have wanted to get hit on the chin. He would have wanted to have been trying to impress. So there's a lot of pressure on him fighting back at home, coming off the back of a defeat. So overall it was an okay performance. He didn't set the world alight, but I certainly don't think it's the end of him. Although there is an argument to say that, the whooping that I gave him took a lot out of him, and may have ruined him. But I don't think he's finished yet.
How much does it mean to you to be fighting in your hometown again, 2 fights in a row now in Nottingham? You spent so much of your career having to fight, like you said, in Finland, in America, all over the world, and now you're having the chance again to showcase your talents to those loyal fans who've travelled with you.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's brilliant. It's not just for me, but for my fans. I mean, that's one of the main reasons that I'm happy to be fighting back at home, because my fans don't have to take to the road again or fly over to a foreign country and support me. So, not once but twice on the spin, winning the world title and defending the world title. It's going to be fantastic, not just for me, but for everybody who's going to be involved. I mean, the place is sold out. We're looking at 9,500, 10,000 people. It's a privilege and an honour to be fighting in front of that many people in my home territory again. So big thanks to my promotional team, Matchroom, and Mr. Eddie Hearn for that.
Right from the start of your career, Carl, you always seemed like you did things slightly differently to everybody else. You got the British, you got the Commonwealth, but you didn't take any soft fights along the way. You were prepared to travel. You won world titles the hard way, and you've sort of set a precedent now for British fighters. You're saying that you can do this. You can fight the best in the world. You can fight back-to-back fights against the best in the world. Do you think part of your legacy when you leave the sport is that you're inspiring younger fighters to actually take the risks and go out there and fight the very best?
I think so, yeah, and I think a lot of the credit of the way my career's panned out and what I've done in my career has got to be put down to Robert McCracken, my coach, because he's been involved in all the matchmaking for every single one of my fights all the way through my whole career, and he wouldn't take a fight that he didn't think I could win, or he wouldn't take a fight that he didn't think I was ready for at that time. Obviously when I signed into the Super 6 tournament, the fights were mapped out. We knew pretty much who was going to be fighting, so we had a good look at them before we went into the tournament. But no, like I said, that's a lot of that is down to Robert McCracken, because he's had a massive influence in everybody I've boxed for every stage of my career. And yeah, I think I've paved the way and shown people that we can fight the best of the best, and that a loss on your record, it isn't the end of the world. Provided you're not getting spectacularly knocked out or outclassed, a loss isn't the end of the world, because Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, all the best fighters that have secured their legacy have retired with defeats on their records. There's certain fighters that have retired undefeated that people don't talk about because they've not boxed the best of the best. So it's not always about winning and protecting the zero. It's about fighting the best, coming through, and even if you get beat, coming back stronger and showing. And I'm 3 times world champion, and I've showed everybody that a loss isn't the end of the world, and correct matchmaking is important, and fighting at the elite level consecutively doesn't do you any harm.